we were told, my mother was told, my father died in Cuba, and my mother was told, your children are going to be made an example of, because in a communist revolution, you know, the intellectuals get thrown, and the wealthy people get chucked to the bottom. And the proletariat allegedly are educated and brought to the top. That's allegedly the idea. If your children are going to be made an example of, they're never going to have any opportunities. They're going to keep cutting sugar cane for the rest of their lives. So they said, give up the plantations, give up the land, give up whatever you have here to get the fuck out of Cuba. And so we came to America. But the other thing was you weren't allowed to take out anything at all, other than the clothes you were wearing. No jewels, no money, no wealth, nothing. So when we came to this country, we were dirt poor, literally dirt poor. Our first apartment, my mother, who was probably 19 or 20, didn't speak English and had 2 children, my sister and myself. My sister was, see you later. Thanks for coming. My sister was 2 and I was an infant. And, you know, we slept on a cement floor in the basement. I think it was Tarrytown, New York, or Austin, New York, during the winter. It was pretty bleak. And eventually, in time, she remarried, and we moved to Newark, New Jersey. Now, you know Newark, New Jersey, right? I'm Cuban. My first language is Spanish. But my skin is very pale. And that's not rare in Cuba. You know, Cuba is like America. You know, there are Cubans who are white, and there are Cubans who are black, and there are Cubans who are everything in between. But in Newark, in the neighborhood, the only neighborhood we could afford to live in, I went to a school that was all black and Hispanic, and I was the white boy. I got picked on every single day for being white. I was literally the white kid. And I was in a fight every day for being white. Which really sucks, because you would think if I was fighting every day, I'd get good at it. I just got good at taking a beating, really. In 3rd grade, long story short, my mother, you know, things didn't work out with her second husband. Ended up meeting another man who was a psychiatrist. He had a bit of money. And he moved us to the suburbs. This is a true story. I'm not making this up. The day that we moved to West Orange, New Jersey, I was in the car with my mother, my stepfather, my sister, my brother. And we were driving down Pleasant Valley Way, which was the street we would live on. And there were trees. And there was grass. I'd never seen lawns. I'd never seen, like, people walking dogs. It was the craziest thing. And I remember turning to my sister, and this is a quote, I turned to my sister and I said, we're going to live with the white people. I was so excited. So excited. And then the first day of school, Pleasantdale Elementary School, sitting in class, so excited to start anew amongst fellow white people. And they did roll call, and they said, Weinstein, and a hand went up. I said, O'Malley, and a hand went up. Saverio, a hand went up. He said, Hernandez, which happens to be my last name. And I raised my hand, and everyone turned around. And this one kid said, he's a spick.
Oh.
And so from that day forth, I was no longer white. From that day forth, I was the Hispanic kid. So I was in a fight every day for being Hispanic. But luckily, they got to know me. And over the course of getting to know me, they realized there were so many better reasons to hate me. Once they realized that I didn't like football, and that I was into stop motion animation and science fiction and monsters, that's me.
You're alone.
Once they realized all that, they realized, oh, he's really deplorable. He's a giant fag, is what he was called. And so I was called a fag every day, and I was in a fight all the time. I was always, you know, dodging fights. So I hated New Jersey because I felt that New Jersey was, I mean, I never thought there was anything wrong with myself. I thought I was a pretty all-right guy. And I liked all these things that I thought were really exciting, like, you know, monsters and horror movies and sci-fi and animation and Ray Harryhausen. I thought all that stuff was really cool, and it was a great passion of mine. It really excited me, and it was a light. I mean, honestly, and I'm really going off course here, but the work of Ray Harryhausen was this light that somehow washed away all of the ugliness in my life, you know, like watching Seventh Voyage of Sinbad and Jason and the Argonauts and wanting to make movies like that. It gave me something that I thought was so beautiful to do and to surround myself with, and that I thought was so fascinating. And it honestly probably saved my life. And then, you know, as I started discovering music, and discovering bands like Adam and the Ants, Susie and the Banshees, and Duran Duran, and liking, you know, goth music, and new wave music, oh my God, then like that made me a bigger fan. And so I wanted to grow my hair, and I wanted to get an earring, and none of this flies in like a traditional Cuban household. If I was a fag at school, and then I came home to be a fag at home. And so I was treated with the same sort of disdain for my interest, with the exception of the animation. But, well, actually I should probably tell you, my mother was very supportive of the animation. My stepfather, who was a very traditional Cuban psychiatrist, told me point blank, no one is going to pay you to play with dolls. Fuck it. So, I wasn't a stop motion animator. I was someone who played with dolls. And by the way, by 84, when I turned 17, I was so completely fed up with New Jersey and the mindset, like just this backward mindset of conformity and mediocrity, that I had to get out. And I ran away from home. And I hopped on the PATH train and I went to New York City. And I have to tell you, it's a true story. I was pelted with rocks and garbage all the time in New Jersey. You know, when I was a teenager, people would pass by in cars, hey fag, and like throw McDonald's food wrappers at me, garbage and rocks and stuff like that, because I guess I looked funny to them. And I remember going to New York City, like I walked through. It was like walking the gauntlet, you know? It was like mostly Hispanic and black people who were like, yo, Dracula! And wanting to kill me or cut me up or at least make fun of me. And I got on the PATH train, and when my foot touched New York City soil, it was amazing. It was like this incredible change. Because literally my foot touched the ground in the East Village, and it went from like, I'm gonna kill you, faggot, to, excuse me, I don't know who you are, but you're obviously someone famous. Can I take your picture? Instantly. And I had never done anything. But people just instantly thought, like, this guy looks creative. He looks artistic. He must, and if it's not like he must be someone famous, it was at least you seem really interesting. When people found out that I did stop motion animation, they were like, this guy's really fascinating. All of the things that made me a villain and a terrible human being in New Jersey made me this fascinating individual in New York City. It was like, gosh, where should I live? It's going to be tough. So I never went back. You know, I stayed in New York City. And shortly after being in New York City, I showed my animated films that I'd made as a child to a company that was making a show called Pee-wee's Playhouse. And all of their stop-motion animators were busy on Pee-wee's Playhouse, so they had no one to make the commercials. So at 17, I got hired to be a stop-motion animator on national TV commercials. And so my very first job was animating a Parker Brothers commercial for a Parker Brothers toy, followed by a Chex Snack Mix commercial, followed by an RC Cola commercial, followed by an IKEA commercial, and then I went on to animating Bud Bowl, which was like Budweiser commercials shown during the Super Bowl. So this is all stuff like national airing commercials that my family is seeing at home. So my very first commercial ever, I was 17 years old and I got a check for 1 week. I made like $3,000 or $4,000. And I made a copy of the check and I sent it home. And I wrote, this is what I get paid to play with dolls.